Biological soil crust, or in short, biocrust, is a thin film across the desert floor or in arid regions. In fact, it's so thin that you've probably walked right over it and didn't even notice it was there. So we'll have to go down there to take a closer look.
Now we have a rock. Right behind us, classic red bed.
Desert soil. It's known for being really sandy and relatively low in nitrogen and organic matter, but rather high in calcium carbonate and phosphate, save for a few spots maybe around the bottoms of those creosote bushes. It's also subject to drying and hardening, and that rejects water absorption. But biocrust can be thought of like a protective skin that helps hold on to those nutrients, helps prevent erosion, and hold on to some of that water here in the fragile desert ecosystem. So what is it? Well, biocrust can be thought of like a carpet on an arid or desert floor that's made up of mosses, lichens, and cyanobacteria. And these guys serve some really important roles here. For instance, the lichens assist with nitrogen fixation, which basically means the nitrogen is taken from an atmospheric form into a form that plants can actually use. But these biocrusts can get disturbed quite easily, and they're subject to issues with land disturbance, fire, cattle, and development or otherwise digging. But the climate can also play a pretty important and obvious role in the development and loss of this biocrust. A study out of Utah that lasted for decades showed the loss and harm to this biocrust, and they pinpointed that it was related to climate changes, not otherwise other disturbances, because they did this in an area where there hadn't been these disturbances. There hadn't been grazing and other development. So why do we care about the loss of this biocrust? Well, like I already mentioned, it's a pretty important part of the desert ecosystem health and for those plants. And there's some other things. The loss of biocrust comes along with the disturbance of soil, and that results in an increase of dust storms, or sometimes called haboobs, as well as mudslides in those regions where that soil has been disturbed. It also accordingly could be linked to the spread of fungal diseases such as valley fever. I'll be talking more about valley fever if you're interested in that. It's basically a fungal spore that hides in the top layer of the soil in arid regions, and when the soil is disturbed, it spreads, and it can infect a whole host of animals, including humans. So if you travel or live in the arid southwest US, you should definitely check out my video on valley fever and see how it's even maybe expanding throughout the West. Another issue that comes along with disturbing the soil is that of the spread of invasive weeds and plants. And those are bad for a whole bunch of reasons. Obviously, it's harmful for the native organisms there that depend on those plants, but it also can be responsible for the spread of fire. And the desert ecosystem, like here in the Sonoran Desert, is not dependent on a fire ecology. So fires spreading here are very harmful. So there you have it, biocrust. Who knew that that thin film on the desert floor that many of us just walk over and maybe didn't even realize was there is actually that important to the desert? If you want to learn more about soil and rocks and all things geo, then just join me here at Let's Go Geo. I'll be talking a lot more about this stuff and bringing you more desert videos, desert geology, and geology all over from North America and beyond. I'll see you guys on the next adventure.